Good morning, guys. Today is April 4th, 2017. I won't be able to go over some of the pre-market plays right now, guys, just because I'm actually in a trade. DFFN came up with a news this morning, a patent release, um, just just about like 30 minutes ago. So it started popping up. I jumped in on it pre-market just because it pulled back and I got in on a 5-minute setup, the first 5 minute to make a new high at 447. And right now I'm basically seeing if it can test back the high of day 469 and then potentially can run. Right now, again, it's getting pushed back down, so I don't like it. But I want to see if it can get back over this 460 level. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sell at 450 right now, guys. Oops, it's dropping. I don't like it. So I'm just waiting. It got up to 459, and right now it's coming back down. I just want to see what happens here. See if we get back to 450 here. There you go, 450. I'll see if I can get out at 450 actually. Or I'm thinking I should hold to see when the market's open. I mean, there's still 15 minutes left for the market open, and I don't want to see it hang around this area. I mean, so I'll get out at I'm trying to thinking because 445 has support. I only have 100 shares in, guys. Basically, my exit is basically below this candle right here. So the low of this candle is 438. So if this candle or the next candle goes below 438, I mean, I could get out there. I feel like potentially I should hold this because there's still room for this to run. I mean, it can still test back this 469 level. I'm gonna get out at 450 here. I got out at 450 just because it paid for the fees and stuff. I mean, I would like to play this once the market open, and what I can do now, I can take away my attention from this because right now it's definitely not moving. What I would have liked to see is this candle to basically keep moving up and test the high of day and break it. But right now, once it got pushed back down, kind of scared me out. Just because I feel like maybe we need to wait for the market to open and then pull back and then look for a red to green move on it. I feel like that could be a potential good play. That's what's a lot of the stocks are moving with red to green. But you know what? It was a good trade. It was a good potential trade pre-market just to see how things might work on it, but. I can always get back in on it. I did have a good entry at 447, but it was still pretty close to the where it's hanging right now, and I just didn't like it. I mean, if this candle closed around 459 and stuff, or even above 455 and stuff, and then the next candle pushed through it, got over 460, I would have liked to see that, but. As you guys can see now, in the 450s, there's a lot of buyers coming in, but there are some sellers right now. So we'll have to wait on this. I didn't really get to plan other trades yet, just because I was trading DFFN. I got in it, and I was just kind of paying attention to that. GBR is one. They did have a earnings release. The only thing is they had an earning release after hours. So with after hours, the stock already moved from 160s up to the 275s, and then it kind of pulled back, consolidating in this range. So potentially it could be a good play over 260, or look for a red to green move. Would love to look for a red to green move on this because I feel like it could potentially run. ONTX is another one that's moving pre-market. I mean, I'm gonna have to take one of these out just because I can't watch all of them. They announced a positive preclinical data, right? So what's the float on this? Let me just check the float. 4.15 million on ONTX. So again, low float, could potentially run, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. This is the one I don't really like the most, just because on the daily it doesn't move as much. I mean, over here, it moved only not even a point. It moved about 80 cents. This day it moved about 30, 40, yeah, about 60 cents there, or 50 cents. So I'm just gonna take this one off, just because I don't feel like it can open up that much, and it can give me that much room to run. BNTC is another one. Let's see the news on it. I mean, both of these ones are kind of high on RSI as well, so they're a little overbought. Again, same thing with BNTC, preclinical data. So it has a float of 7.05 million. So I mean, it's just preclinical data that has positive. Don't know if it has that much room, so I'm going to take this one off as well, just because I really want to be able to focus on only 1 or 2 stocks once the market open, and then I can see if I want to add something as we go along. I don't want to just try to have like 4 or 5 stocks that I'm watching once the market open, and then I can't keep up with any of them. You know what I mean? So again, our main focus will be DFFN, just because I feel like they have really good news with the PAN release. It's basically, the news is Diffusion Pharmaceutical awarded US PAN for TSC as therapeutic in 5 related indications. Something like that. Again, I'm not a doctor, or I'm not a scientist. I don't know what most of this means. But what I do know is that a PAN release is a good news. DFFN does like to make huge moves, so that's what we're watching for. We'll see how it acts. We could potentially get in, or I would love to get in on a red to green move on this stock. Love to get in on a red to green move. So basically I'll just have DFFN and GBR off the watch list. I'll be watching GBR on 1 minute and 5 minute on this other chart over here on my other screen, just because previously GBR did do a 5 minute red to green move, and that candle just basically exploded. So I would love to see that happen again on GBR. But we'll see what happens. So what I'll do now is I'll pause the video, guys, and I'll bring you guys back in once I feel like I'm ready to jump into something, or ready to talk about something. As you guys saw, my pre-market trade on DFFN, did have potential, but just couldn't really take off. And I'm glad I sold. I'm glad I, sold. It basically paid for my fees, and I walked away with $1 profit. I am completely fine with that. So we'll be back in a bit, guys. Markets are going to open in about 10 minutes. Hey guys, so I played BNTC. Sorry, I just forgot to press record. Basically I got in at let me see. Yeah, basically I got in at this candle on this pullback here, 417. It pulled over, it got up to 428, and then just couldn't really push. So I basically sold at got out at 405. As it got below this candle here, the low of this candle is 405. So as it started coming below, I sold, just because I didn't want it to see this candle go below this candle. I wanted to see basically run up, and it just couldn't do that. So I got out. Now it is coming back up. So yep, it's coming right back up. Look at that. That's funny. That's so funny. It came right back up. I was just looking for that same move on this candle, but didn't get it, so that's fine. I mean, this stock definitely has strength right now, so I'll be watching it. GBR and DFFN just didn't do anything. They failed. So I'll watch this, see what happens here. There's support at 4. I'll see if it holds 4. If it does, then I'll jump back in for a push back up to actually no, I'm gonna hold on off it. I'm not gonna jump back in, just because on the 5-minute, as you guys can see, it's getting pushed down, so I don't want to jump back in. I really thought this pullback would work, just because it seemed to have strength. So I thought that it'll get back up to, if it got over 430s, I would have basically sold in the 437s. But yeah, it's definitely sellers. Sellers are selling right now, although it's pulling back on low volume, which is nice. But yeah, we'll the only reason I'm not jumping in there right now because yeah, GBR and DFFN, they're just dropping. They're not doing anything. The only reason I'm not jumping in, guys, is because of this 5-minute right now. The 5-minute got pushed down. So I mean, I think I bought it at a good time. It just, it did jump about 10 cents from my entry. It just couldn't really push through. It's building the highs here. I'm gonna see what happens here. Maybe over 420 I can jump in. But I would like to see a 5-minute pullback on it. Would be nice. Would give me a solid entry on it if it continues to run. GBR is dropping. ONTX is not doing anything. Did have a red to green move, but it retraced all its gains. CYC is not doing anything. BNTC is the one that's running. SHIP is running. SHIP is running. I don't know what's the news on SHIP is or why it's running. Anyways, I'm gonna pause this. I'll be back. I had a down on the day right now. So we'll see if we can get back up. Guys, I missed BNTC again. It was stupid. Well, it wasn't stupid. I was just kind of waiting for a 5-minute setup on it. This candle I was waiting for it to close and then the next candle to make a new high, and I was gonna jump in for the break of 5 here. And as you guys can see, this candle basically towards the end, as it was about to close, it just started gaining volume and then it ripped. And it popped over 5, went over to 518, and I tried getting in at 5, but it just didn't execute. So basically, better entry would have been in the 470s here. The high of this candle before was 470, and that's what I was watching for. So that would have been a good entry point. But as soon as it started ripping, it just took off, and I just wasn't. It didn't execute me at 5 here. That being said, there's nothing I can do about it. We're just gonna be watching it. That was a good entry point. I was looking to get in the 450s here. My exit would have been basically below this 445 level. So I was gonna get in the 450, 455 here, but just didn't pull the trigger on that. That's what happens sometimes, guys. If you have a losing trade, you just don't feel like jumping into anything just because you hesitate. And sometimes, if I didn't have this trade, and if it was pulling back here, I probably would have jumped in the 450s here, or even if I didn't have this earlier trade on the first 1 minute here, when it pulled back and it was holding this 4 level, I definitely would have jumped in. Right, that would have been the ideal entry here, and then ride this ride this trend line up on the 5 EMA, and then look to sell once it goes below, so in the 470s. Right now, obviously, in the hindsight, it all makes sense, but while you're in the trade, or while you're trading, or you're looking to get in, your mind thinks differently, and that's where I've been kind of having trouble with, is the fact that I'll see these trades and I'll be like, what, it's a good entry point right here. I will just hesitate because I don't want to lose more. And I think that's that's the difference between an experienced trader and someone who's a beginner. Just because an experienced trader would see this and they'd be like, what, I like it. It has pulled back about 50 cents from its top. On the 5 minute, it's holding this. It's pulled back to the 9 EMA. I'll look to jump in at that point, right? And then you basically wait for this push. Whereas a beginner, I jumped in over here on the first 1 minute pullback. That wasn't a bad entry point. It could have definitely worked. It could have pushed up to the 450s and I would have got out there. But it just didn't have it in it. It just, people didn't believe it at that point. And then once it started curling here, it kind of did a little ABCD pattern. So A was here. Here, I'll show you guys. So, just a second. So, A was right here, and then that was B, and then basically this was C, and then so A, B, C, and as it started curling up, that would have been, so this point right here, the break of the break of B would have been D, and then it just basically ran up from there. So, if I had known, if I was in the right mindset, I wasn't just jumping into a stock. I would have looked at this and spotted this earlier as it was happening and taken advantage of it, rather than looking hindsight. And even this, right? Like, look at this break of 5. It's in the 530s now, and I missed that too. So it's just these little things, these little trades that I miss. And it's obviously frustrating. It's very frustrating when you get in a stock in at 417 is my first buy was, and right now it's in 539. Obviously you don't hold the stock for this whole time. I'm not a investor or a swing trader. I just look for that specific momentum, but it's hard to spot momentum, and it's hard to know when the momentum is there. And sometimes you end up messing up because you think the momentum's there, but it's actually not. And next thing you know, you're getting in right at the top, right? And that's what happens. I definitely want to see if I can trade this here. If it pulls back to 5 and if it holds that level, I'll see if I can jump back in for the test, because it's definitely strong. You see how on this push lots more volume came in versus the beginning, so definitely it has strength. Now I don't know if this stock can go any higher. I don't know if 539 is the top. Maybe it can push towards 6 today, right? I mean, obviously it's a low float. Traders are watching this, so it could definitely pull, or sorry, it can definitely push. But we'll see what happens here. But yeah, anyways, guys, you know what? I'm probably better off not trading again today, because I feel like my brain would just not be in its right place, and I'm probably gonna end up messing up and losing more. I mean, I don't mind this. I don't mind this loss. Obviously, not the way I wanted to start my first, month. I mean, I did start the day with a green trade, even though if it was just a $1 positive, But I messed up on BNTC, and these are the kind of charts that I need to like study and learn and focus and pay attention to, because they this happens over and over again. I mean, how many trades in the past where I've gone in and I prematurely stopped out, and the stock just turned around and continued to move in my direction with massive gains, and I just sat on the sideline after that, just couldn't do anything about it. So it's obviously tough mentally, and it's frustrated when you see stuff like that, and you just can't possibly take advantage of it, just because you feel like you already messed up once, you don't want to mess up twice. You start getting all this fear, and you just can't pull the trigger, and that's something we all struggle with. Even experienced traders sometimes struggle with that. So I'm not upset with myself. I just feel like I could have traded this better. Maybe sometimes the 1 minute pullbacks don't work as perfectly, right? Maybe sometimes unless they're pulling back to the 9 EMA on the 2, it pulls back for 2 minutes and then run. Maybe those are stronger than me jumping in here, because when I jumped in here, I mean, a lot of the times you see when a stock just pulls back a little on one candle and then it just makes a new high and then it rips. So that's specifically why I jumped in this for. This one didn't do it. It pulled back. I got out thinking that, hey, if it couldn't do it, it's probably gonna break through the here and then probably go down to the threes. And I just kind of got scared, and I basically I stopped out, and turned around, got back up, pulled back, and then it's just been running since. So we'll basically call it a day here, guys, just because I don't want to trade anymore, just because I feel like I'm thinking of just making that money back right now, and that's not the right mentality, and that's not the right way to move forward today. So I'll walk away, clear my head, study this trade a bit, and come back tomorrow, see what happens. Let's see what's going on with DFFN. Just making if it can get over 420. I mean, DFFN was one of the trades that I wanted to trade today. I felt like I was looking for a red to green move on it. Felt like with the patent release and some good news, it could definitely have some potential. But I mean, it went red on the day, and right now it just, there's no volume in it, there's nothing happening. So I don't know what if it has any way of coming back or not, but we'll see. I mean, BNTC is the play of the day, and we just missed it. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll come back tomorrow. Be more patient in the morning, and hopefully get a better trade in tomorrow, and hopefully start moving towards the positive side now. Obviously that's something I need to turn around my account. Need to be more consistent with my trades, have better winning trades, and just positive, being the positive. And I feel like that's going to be so good for my confidence once I get the ball rolling again, and have a couple positive days with good wins and good trades, and I can get back up there. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.